The Hyundai Elantra Sport is actually a rather interesting car because you might think of this car as just a base Elantra with some badges and a fancy body kit and that be it. But this Sport is a completely separate model to that base Elantra. And this is because Hyundai is attempting to launch their own performance division called N. And hopefully we'll see a proper N product within the next year or so. So is this Hyundai Elantra Sport a stepping stone of what's to come, or is it an indication that the N performance division is already a lost cause? That answer is coming up here on The Drive Guide. Alright, so we're on the highway now doing exactly 110, and to give a brief rundown of this car. As I was saying in the introduction, it is pitched as a different model to the regular Elantra, and it has enough to support that argument with the unique bumpers and side skirts, the unique engine, and a new multi-link suspension system. And with this car, the engine is a 1.6 litre four-cylinder engine that's turbocharged and will produce 201 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. And we're really going to explore the engine and what this thing can do when we're in the twisties, but when you are on the highway, you are reminded that this car is an economy car. Driving along at highway speed, there's a fair amount of wind noise. I'm hearing a little bit of tire roar, and the suspension system, it's not harsh, but it's certainly firm. And I thought when I was going to hit this car on the hour-long highway journey back home that I would have been taxed by the end of it and been exhausted. But although the suspension is a little firm, the seats are plush, and there isn't a lot of bolstering, so you do have a little bit of freedom to move around. Not so restrictive. The assertive body styling is what's going to make this car stand out over the regular Elantra. It's a fairly good looking car. I do like the way the side skirts give the illusion that the car is lower to the ground, gives that sportier vibe, I suppose you could say. You also get the chrome tipped exhaust and then that faux air diffuser down there. This car comes with a fair amount of technology and equipment. The next level is the Sport Tech trim, and that will get you a bigger touchscreen and a premium audio system. But this car kind of gives you everything that you'd want for this price range and for this type of car. You've got a 7-inch touchscreen, you've got blind spot monitoring assist, you've got cruise control, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, a pair of USBs, heated seats, and a heated wheel. And with the Elantra Sport, you get this unique race-inspired flat-bottomed wheel, and then these sportier front seats, which you can see have the word sport embossed in them in case you forgot what car you bought. There's a lot of cheaper materials in here. You really have to search for some nicer things to touch. But the things that really do matter, like the steering wheel, the seats, and the touch screen, and all these buttons down here, they are great to use. As a highway cruiser, I know there's better economy cars than this one. But saying that, what I really want to find out is how this car drives in a performance environment. So let's get off the highway now, get onto the twisties to see what this car is like to drive. Right, so we're in the twisties now, and the one thing that's important to note is that this car doesn't have a sport mode. It's as is, one size fits all kind of deal. And now this is really where this car comes alive. I failed to mention that the multi-link suspension is actually unique to this car, and it really shows when you're trying to throw yourself into some corners like what I'm about to do here. Downshift in a second, there we go. Oh wow, took that corner really well. It's a fizzy little engine as well. Let's slow down a bit. Go in the first because this car chirps its wheels like there's no tomorrow. traction control light came on there and I didn't even hit 6 grand. There we go. If you're going around, all right, let's drop down to about 30 kph. Right, so in second gear, hovering around 2 grand, and let's mat it. There's the turbo. Around 3. So the turbo lag is there, it's alive and it's well, but it's exciting. It's a fun little car to play around with. Oh, we got some goats. Wave to the camera, goats. You're gonna be on YouTube. Bye-bye. The shifts are a little long in the throw, but the clutch is weighted perfectly. Steering, although it is direct and responsive, there is close to no feedback on it at all. If you mat the pedal after coming out of a corner, you can certainly feel the car becoming a subject of torque steer. But it's controllable enough and you never feel like it's gonna throw the wheel out of your hands. But it changes direction remarkably well. I am really impressed of what this car can do. And I'm having a lot more fun in this car than I actually expected I was going to. The noise isn't what I would call inspiring. It doesn't really sound like anything, and it doesn't really sound as powerful as what it actually is. Keep in mind, this is a 1.6 litre engine, and it's producing nearly 200 pound-feet of torque. So driving this car in this environment is certainly bringing a smile to my face, but let's see how this car performs when you want to drive it day to day in town. So what I was just saying earlier about this car not having a sport mode, I really do think it would benefit if there was a comfort mode and a sport mode, because the firm suspension, the car likes to remind you that it wants to be a sports car, and in town, it's not that it's intolerable, but as this is an economy car, it is meant to be, at the end of the day, a good runaround to get all your chores done. Although the materials aren't the best in class in here, there are a few things that I really like about the interior. For one, this touchscreen is a lot faster to respond than I was initially expecting it to. And all the buttons that you interact with here for the climate control and the radio and so on, they feel really tactile and weighted very nicely. Another thing I want to note, I hate faux carbon fiber trim in any car. It's a shame that it's in here, but there's nothing I can really do about that. There's no other option for a trim for this sport model. To give you a very brief rundown of the practicality, for one, there is this touchless boot release system where if you stand behind the car for 3 seconds, with the key in your pocket, it will open. I like that feature. And the boot is a good size. The hinges are actually exposed, so you need to be careful when you're loading things into the trunk. Those hinge arms can potentially take away some space or even damage something. You can also see where Hyundai tries to save a little bit of money, as there is no padding on the top of the trunk. You can see the metal framework. And then in the back seat, if you're the friendly giant body type such as myself, you're going to have a very limited amount of space back there. If you're someone like me, you're not going to be comfortable in the back seat there. After spending some time with this car, I'm very keen to find out what a full-blown end performance product will be like to drive. This car has an exciting engine and a very dynamic suspension system, but if they follow the formula that they have implemented with this car and then spend a little more money and energy into putting some more desirable materials into the cabin, I do think Hyundai will have a real winner on its hands. So that's everything from me. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you can like, share and subscribe, and I hope to see you again on The Drive Guide.